Hey, welcome back, everybody. Of course, this is Dr. Keith McNally, and we are now going to go back to the interview with Robert Grover. This is part three, the last of three parts of my one-on-one conversation with this extraordinary man who has developed an extraordinary product for STEM applications, STEM education, and really project-based learning at its core. So this time, we're going to talk about what is the future of Databot and what is the future of education. Where do you see the Databot going from here? How is it going to be continually impactful and effective in the classroom? Where do you see it?
This last year gave us an opportunity to spend a lot of time thinking about those kinds of things and different ways to apply it, what we want it to look like in the next version, and where we want things on the software and curriculum side to go. One of the things that we've spent a lot of time doing is looking at the social impact potential for the product. Because it does have the ability to open up eyes in a lot of ways that other products don't. So with that in mind, we've spent some time with some local friends. There's one friend here in Boise that really specializes in impact companies and what's called a B Corp. There's a B Corp certification that a company can apply for, and it's a pretty rigorous questionnaire and audit that they go through with your company. And it addresses things like work conditions. So there's really 3 P's for a B Corp. It's planet, it's people, and then the third one is profit. You're trying to build a company that's going to be profitable, but also something that's going to be a tremendously positive culture and a great place for people to work. But it's also got to have a mission where it's also benefiting, the planet. If all companies worldwide were to adopt this philosophy, it'd be amazing. And more and more companies are. There's 4,000 B Corps now, I think, on the planet, and more joining all the time. But that was one of the things that we spent some time looking at, and we've decided to pursue that certification. It's changing the way that we're designing products. We have to go through our entire supply chain, for example, to make sure that ethical standards are in place where all of our components are manufactured. We don't want to be manufacturing something where there's child labor involved, for example. So you have all these, there's a lot of impact to it, but it's well worth it because you end up benefiting everybody and your product's stronger. Now, the other side of the impact of Databot is, really honing the mission of what we want to focus on. So because you can teach so many things with it, we've narrowed down our focus to what we consider to be the big 4 in terms of what we can do to impact the planet in a positive way. And those big 4 topics that we're going to be focusing on, STEM education is one, and we define that as teaching students the ability to understand technology and engineering and math and how all these things tie together to solve problems. And really it's STEAM. We've migrated that into formally adopting STEAM because we recognize how critical the arts component is to creative problem solving. So really your STEAM education is the first thing. So we want to give kids the tools to be able to solve problems and understand them. The other 3 are specifically addressing some of those problems. So one of them is artificial intelligence and machine learning. Databot version 2 is actually going to be machine learning enabled. So you can actually code and teach it things and use it to actually become smarter and interact with the environment around it. And when you talk about artificial intelligence and machine learning, we want students to recognize this technology because it's evolving so fast. And it literally is one of those things that poses a potential existential threat, to humanity. You stir in quantum computing and the capabilities that we're looking at for processing power in the future. And really, we have to be prepared for that. So we want students to be conversant and comfortable with concepts of AI and help formulate, ethical patterns of progress that are going to keep us safe and keep it as a useful technology as opposed to one that isn't. Let's see, the third one data science, data analytics. We want kids to be able to recognize data and interpret it correctly and be critical thinkers with data. Um, Everybody over the past few years has, of course, experienced a lot of misinformation, disinformation, fake news. So there's movements for news literacy, there's movements for data literacy. That's obviously, a core strength of Databot. It's all about data. So teaching kids how to visualize data, look at the information that they're receiving and being able to interpret it correctly, and being able to spot when there's discrepancies between, data that's being presented to them in some way and the underlying core data. So in other words, you look at a visualization, is it really telling you what you're trying to understand? Building critical awareness about that. And then the last one, of course, is planetary awareness, climate change, environmental awareness. All of those four topics are the things that we're focusing on as a company. So we feel like if we can continue to evolve Databot, improve visualization tools, make it more accessible, less expensive, really we want the whole concept to be ubiquitous at some point. Everybody's got a Databot and they can pull it out of their pocket and take air readings, or all kinds of experience the world in a new way. It really is like giving yourself a pair of binoculars that can see things that you never saw before.
Robert, thank you so much for your time. You, your team, and Databot are doing so much for education. And those of us who are educators, we fully appreciate it. So hopefully in the future, we're going to make Databot a household name.